Alright, so I'm trying to platinum over 100 games in a list created by the community. Now, if I can't do this before the channel hits 850,000 subscribers, then I will shave my head bald and look like a base character from a video game. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Alright, so today I decided to platinum Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. This is one of the best games ever created if you want to be real blunt with it. However, there is some controversy with it legally, but we won't talk about that. If you know, you know. Anyways, it won Game of the Year back in 2014 when it released, and a lot of people like it, including myself. I know, a shocker. Its Ilusion actually enjoyed a game. What kind of alternate dimension are we in? The game is a total of 52 trophies inside, including the platinum for the base game, which is all we're doing today. It doesn't take too long to do without much difficulty as well. However, there's more stages than women I've had in my life, but that's not a surprise. Stage 1 though is to just simply beat the story like every other game to ever exist. And I'm not gonna lie, I accidentally forgot to start recording when I was playing the intro because I had previously slipped and fell down the stairs. But I did start before any trophies popped, thankfully, and this game's entire story surrounds the main character named Talion witnessing his wife and son get brutally executed right in front of him. Then he does also, as a matter of fact, die. However, once he dies, he doesn't. That is because his soul is banished from death, as the game calls it, which is an unironically hard quote. But no, this is pretty much just because he has a secret purpose, basically, which is not allowing him to die. And that purpose is essentially to just get revenge on the orcs and try to stop them, as you would expect it to be. And the first trophy I did get today was a bit after the intro we just went through and from the first mission of the day in general, where we had a simple objective of just eliminating 4 orcs, the very first of our non-stop manslaughter today. We also had to dominate a man, as they call it, but this is just a mind control type of mechanic. I feel like they could have picked a, different word, but whatever. And after that, I then got the first trophy into my collection. And just so you know, the way this game's main story works is most of the missions about orcs themselves are kind of almost a tutorial into just how the game works and for post-story content, but there is numerous side main stories about other aspects of the world that all kind of tie into it, which is kind of cool. And the first one that got introduced to us was the Golem side mission. You know, that little inbred that is obsessed with material objects and also recently got a game that was revered as being the greatest of all time. Yeah, that guy. And the next trophy I got was actually from doing his very first mission within his quest line, and it basically consisted of us just wandering into his little cave and grabbing some ancient heirloom, which shocked the system like 10 grams of beta alanine would definitely do. But then a Caragor also just showed up, which is arguably one of the more annoying enemies in the game, at least at the start. However, the trophy popped before I got abused by it, like, I'm not gonna say anything more. So the next mission line I went down before doing more of golems was the generic orc one, and in the majority of the beginning missions it was all surrounding us befriending an orc outcast named Ratbag. But we helped him gradually climb the ranks of the orc power ladder, which is also an entire side feature of the game in general much later on. However, this kind of just shows how it really works behind the scenes, again setting up post-story like I said earlier. But after about an hour of that, I just upgraded something for the first time within the multitude of options in the game's menu, and I got my first of many upgrade trophies. I then continued on with the story, as you do, and we reached the mission I was mostly talking about, where we had to go in and take out a bunch of orc leaders and push good old Ratbag up the ladder. After doing that, a cutscene then plays and we watched as he gleefully accepts his new position. Man, I hope nothing goes wrong because Ratbag has a special place in my heart. After that, the trophy directly associated with Ratbag's mission then popped. I then got to do another golem mission, and his all basically had the same premise. We follow his tracks into a cave and to an artifact of great significance, except this time on the way out, after grabbing one of the artifacts or relics or whatever you want to call them, we got confronted with a Graug, the strongest enemy in the entire game. But we don't have to fight it, instead just escape the cave, and right away when beginning to leave, I got the trophy associated with that mission. Not sure why it didn't wait till the end, but whatever, I guess. I was then doing more of the orc storyline, and if you can't tell, it does kind of ping pong back and forth between these storylines in a good manner. But during this one right here, I shot open a cage for a Caragor enemy, and it was actually the 5th one I've shot open so far, which was a trophy, but also shooting open those cages is a crucial part in making chaos within the game's story. A few minutes after that, I also finally reached a Warchief inside of this game. These are the top dogs of orc ruling power and also have very annoying strengths, weaknesses, and fears. Some are vulnerable to range attacks, while others you can't even damage with a range attack at all. However, they all usually have a fear, which if you can activate such fear, it makes them drop everything and just run away pissing and screaming, and I did that right here. Then jumped onto the man and took him out godlike style, which popped me a trophy from killing a Warchief while he was pissing himself. I then went down a different storyline that only had a few missions, but it had us with some other Chad trying to blow up a giant orc monument for the Dark Lord, and also just take out a bunch of orcs in general. And to get to the point of destroying the statue, there is a dope cart pushing section where I had to push this cart full of explosive stuff without it exploding before getting there, since it was on fire. This is not safe at all. But it did make it there, and there was a dope cutscene watching the statue fall down, and I then got a trophy pop from all of that. A minute later, I also got another upgrade trophy from upgrading my sword relic this time, so that's also cool. And since we just destroyed the monument for the Dark Lord guy, I kind of don't totally know what his dark title is, but who the hell cares anyway? A badass named Larry is way more intimidating if you really think about it. But blowing up that statue dragged out the Black Captain, who is the extra high up orc leader, and surprisingly kind of hard to kill. So we of course got to battle with him for a few minutes until beating the guy to a pulp. Some cutscenes then happened right after, and a girl showed up. We're finally getting hosed, boys, let's go. No, I'm just kidding. She actually has a big part in the story, and there is a multiple quest storyline with her also. Before that though, I got a trophy from killing the Black Captain, which I just did a few moments ago. And then for the next hour and a half, I went down a quest line with another character, and it was this dude named Torvin who had previously lost a battle to the Great White Grog earlier, and he requested our help in defeating it with him. This was essentially just a massive boss fight against a Grog, and it was honestly super hard because Grogs, again, are the strongest enemy in the game, requiring you to stun them before you can do any real damage. And in this fight, the guy also got a chance to heal after every sort of cycle, I guess, which was BS, but we won't complain because I still won eventually. And also got the trophy from finishing that mission line added on to my epic victory royale. I then had another mission storyline trophy, but it was from that girl's path that I mentioned earlier. She had some lore with her mom being a psychic or something. I mean, she might have just been a psycho and I heard it wrong, which is totally a possibility. But the mission had us practice branding an enemy of high level, which is a much harder thing to do than a basic enemy. However, it's still the same principle and you just take their mind. We also then got a cutscene before that trophy did pop after it. And speaking of missions with the girl, we actually had another one right after with her, and she got captured by the orcs and was about to be tortured and stuff by them as well. But Daddy Illusion jumped in to save the day like always. Rescuing women in distress is my side hobby. We then had to carry her out of the orc territory for the entirety of the mission because she had a broken leg or something. Could have toughened up a bit, but it's whatever. I got a trophy from saving her. And on another mission after, I got another cumulative trophy from getting Karagars with bait 5 times. You can shoot hanging meat and then it basically just causes extra chaos, which is always fun, and here's that trophy. And I actually got the only quote-unquote multiplayer trophy next, but since I am playing the Game of the Year edition and since it's 2024, they have removed multiplayer from this game, but the developers are just so nice to us that they added in another way to get this trophy. It's called Repaid in Blood from doing a Vendetta mission. A Vendetta mission is simply just when an orc leader kills either a random player or one of your friends on your friends list, and then you have to kill that orc leader for revenge. But since there is no online, this would pretty much just never show up until they changed it, so it's just the first time you get revenge on an orc after dying to it. And I did die to one finally here and got revenge for the trophy pop. How delectable. And this was also a part of my current mission goal within the orc line, having to brand all 5 Warchiefs, so I basically have complete control of the orc army. Now this is also nearing the end of the story, just so you know, but once I did brand all 5 of them, which isn't terribly hard to do, I got the trophy from that. And once I had everyone under my control, I then drawed out one of the final bosses, that being named the Tower. And in the guide for this game's platinum, the dude who made it said that the Tower was considered the easiest boss of 2014, which is 100% valid because the guy legit just split himself into a few copies, and all you had to do was sneak up and take him out with a few hits to kill him. So I did just that, and here's a trophy from eliminating him. I then made it to the very last mission and kind of boss fight in the game. It's against the Black Hand, who is the master behind everything in Orkland, the worst rated theme park ever. But when I say it was kind of a boss fight, that's because it just consisted of very neat cutscenes and then numerous quick time events. However, we did take out the Black Hand, severing the orcs leader, leaving us to now go back in post-story and continue to tear down their ranks. Also, here's that final trophy, and then we got some credits. But once again, shout out this game for letting us skip credits. God, it's so perfect. Alright, so now it's time for stage 2, which has a bunch of side mission lines all lumped into it. These are identified by a dagger, bow, and sword on the map, which in turn usually has you using that weapon for a special action, kind of just showing you the full potential you have to take out enemies. And sadly, some of these were locked behind upgrades that did require some grinding, but it wasn't horrible. And the first trophy I got here is from doing my very first dagger mission called Legend of the Shadow right here. And I then just kept on grinding these out for over an hour straight, but I eventually got every forge tower unlocked as well. This is just a fast travel system throughout the game's 2 maps, and also shows you everything on the map as well within each forge tower's area, which is a great help. And a trophy, as I said. The next trophy I got was then from finishing all the dagger missions, and I did this one first because I actually had all the missions for the dagger unlocked, unlike the other 2 categories, so here it is. I then went over and started the bow missions next, finishing my first one easily and getting, guess what? Another trophy. I then did do some bow missions, but not many because, as I said, I don't have them all, so I swapped over to just do the sword ones simultaneously because why not? And I did the first one one right here for that trophy in addition. About an hour later though, I did finally get all of the required missions I needed for the bow line, and I did them of course, getting yet again another trophy pop. However, I did not unlock everything for the storyline because it had an upgrade that was in the final tier and I hadn't yet reached that on my character, so I jumped into stage 4 actually, which is just the collectible cleanup pretty much. The collectibles in this game though are very easy to get because they all show up in the map and are not hidden by parkour puzzles or some other BS. Seriously, the game developers that made this game are almost too nice to us. What is happening? So the first trophy I got here was from finding 25% of the artifacts. Then I collected 50% of the Ilusion, which is the other weird ass collectible that I probably just butchered the name of. And at the same time going for these collectibles, I also finally began grinding the survivalist challenges and hunting challenges. You have to complete both of them 100% for trophies, and they aren't really hard to be honest, especially the survivalist challenges since it just requires you to pick up different colored flowers around the map, and they also tell you which areas have which kinds. I love this game so much. But I finished my first survivalist challenge and got a trophy of course. I then got another trophy almost right after from more upgrading within my character, so that's cool also. And I then did complete 4 hunting challenges a while later. These have us going after certain enemies and animals throughout the map, progressively getting harder as you would expect, but the first 4 were very easy, and here's that trophy. Next trophy was then from me collecting 100% of the Ilusion collectibles, still no idea what they are, and that was followed shortly after with the 100% artifact trophy also, by the way, of course. So I then jumped back to stage 2 and just tried leveling my character up, but also doing these survivalist challenges because those are as simple can be. And I finished them all right here for another trophy, which is cool. And I still had yet to complete all the sword missions, but that's okay, life moves on. And I did finish my first outcast rescue mission. This is another side mission line, but it's basically the same every time with us just having to save some slaves from orc captivity. And I did complete the first mission, which gave me a trophy right here. I also then found myself getting swarmed by a ton of orcs on an outcast rescue mission a bit after, and I used the exploding campfire to my best use and got a trophy from burning 50 orcs with that skill, which was awesome. Now that was it for the trophies for a hot minute, but the next one I got was a combat trophy from making 20 orcs flee from bug nests being dropped. I don't even know why they have those to begin with, but it was a trophy. I then did a miscellaneous trophy from issuing a death threat on a Warchief and then killing the Warchief I set a death threat on. You know, really just being one with my word, which I am, and if you guys ask me one more time to get the platinum trophy tattoo, I'm gonna jump off. Oh my god! Okay, no, I'm just kidding, but I did complete the sword questline finally and got that trophy from it. Also, I hated that questline, it was the worst one by far. So it is now time to basically just clean up the game with the remaining trophies. However, Shadow of Mordor does not have an easy cleanup like you would expect a cleanup section to have. And multiple trophies require us to do a lot of time-consuming setup, and also I failed a lot as well, which made this section get kind of dragged out sadly. But the first trophy I did was a fast one from aerial killing an enemy from 60 meters or higher. And you can do this on legitimately any forge in the game because enemies are always right next to them. I then spent 30 minutes straight trying to perform a finishing move on a berserker enemy, which is legit the hardest trophy in the game in my opinion, because once you set an enemy on fire, they die almost immediately, meaning you have to set the guy on fire, then do a finishing move right away. Which sounds simple, but more than 90% of the time my idiot character either didn't do it or just killed some other orc nearby. So yeah, I lost my mind doing this, but I did get it finally. I then did an easy trophy from branding a captain while in battle. This just means you didn't wait till he was dying to do it and just jumped the gun as they say. I then did a trophy from eliminating the bodyguards of a Warchief and then drawing him out to kill him while he has no backup, and that's not hard to do, so I did it right here and there's that trophy. I then went after one of the longest trophies in this cleanup section. You had to brand 5 bodyguards for a Warchief, and it takes a lot of effort to even just get one with 5 bodyguards to begin with, so that's fun. But once you do have 5, you just have to initiate one mission with the Warchief, then press the up arrow on the D-pad to turn them aggressive to the enemies and the trophy pops. I then did a trophy from the recruitment struggle mission type. This has an orc captain go around trying to recruit people who don't want to be a part of his team, so I had to kill the oppressors. But after he goes to 3 spots and gathers a decent sized team, all you have to do is press the down arrow on the D-pad, assuming you have the captain mind controlled, which in turn kills them all and the trophy pops from doing that. Another type of mission in this post story is a feast mission where the orcs and the captain are literally just having a feast with the boys, and I wasn't invited, so I was salty and I put poison in their grog, which is the alcoholic beverage of the game. And once the captain drank it, I got a trophy from doing that. I then went after a very annoying trophy called Power Vacuum, which I missed in the main story because as you might remember, I had to get 5 Warchiefs branded then, but I didn't kill them all at once when I had the chance to, so I had to go get 5 new ones and then kill them all within a short time, so the game didn't replace any of them in the ladder of power. And once done, I got a trophy from doing just that. Now we only have a few trophies left, but the next one was one of my favorites in the game. It's done by letting a basic grunt enemy kill you, which promotes him to captain. Then you have to help him become a Warchief, and once he's a Warchief, you kill him, totally getting the guy's hopes up, but at least he died at the top of his career like the dream is. I also then had to do a simple side thing of causing a riot from having one Warchief branded and making him cause one on another Warchief, which is very easy to do. But since we only have a couple of trophies left, I did have to go grind out all 24 Outcast rescue missions, which, as I said earlier, just had to save a few slaves within enemy camps, and that is basically the entirety of the 24 missions. So here's that trophy from the final Outcast mission complete. I then did a trophy called the White Rider from saving 30 slaves in 180 seconds while riding a Karagor, which is actually surprisingly easy because the legendary power picks had a video guide on the perfect route to do this. However, it was a little bit hit or miss with the slaves spawning on each run you do, but if you just keep going, you'll find more, and 180 seconds is plenty of time. So here's that trophy pop once I got it. Next trophy I did go after was from completing all of the Hunter challenges. This is much harder than the survival challenges because 2 of the 10 challenges were to kill Grogs, and as we all know, they are the hardest enemy in the game, so that's cool, but I eventually did do it and got the trophy. And my final trophy was then from getting a level 25 rune. Runes are a weapon drop from Warchiefs upon killing them, but to get a level 25 rune, which is the max, you have to kill a level 20 Warchief by both knowing and also using his weakness or fear, and then also having it be a revenge kill. And it's also not a guaranteed drop, so I did have to do this numerous times before it worked. However, I did get the drop finally, and the last trophy pop of the game with the platinum added on top. So that was the Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor platinum trophy experience. Overall, that game was almost perfect. There was times when I got very annoyed by it, but that's simply a skill issue, let's be real. Rating it out of 10, I'm gonna give it a solid 9. Everything from the story to how the game works to even the trophies being not annoying when they definitely could have made them bad, it just makes a great combination. So that's all. Thank you for watching once more, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Also, feel free to ask for any games you want to see, and I might just do them next. Alright, see you later. I love you.